So good afternoon. Any doubt? Response time. Okay, so we were taking up this NPAs, non-performing assets, and we were taking up government measures to reduce NPAs. So last topic was this. We have discussed bad bank and this asset management company, and Sunil Mehta committee's recommendations. Okay, so next is inter-creditor agreement. So I told you Sunil Mehta committee said कि mid-sized NPAs should be resolved by an inter-creditor agreement, ICA. So now what is this ICA, inter-creditor agreement? So what is inter-creditor agreement? Just before that, one doubt is there. Arpit, your doubt, explain in brief why will removing NPA make balance sheet look good? When banks write off NPA, will then provisioning will reduce and lending capacity of bank will increase. Okay, so you want to ask if bank will remove NPA from balance sheet, then bank write off NPA will then the provisioning will reduce and lending capacity will increase. So yes, actually when bank will write off NPA, so actually bad quality of asset will reduce. So it will improve balance sheet in general, but there will be one problem. When bank will write off, then capital will reduce. But that has to be compensated by investment of capital. Like share capital has to be increased. This is one challenge. That is why banks are not willing to write off NPA. Because when they will write off, although their balance sheet will become clean, but problem is that capital may reduce on balance sheet and they have to infuse more capital. So this is actually a kind of dilemma, whether we shall clean up our balance sheet, but the cost of cleaning up of balance sheet is that capital will reduce and they have to infuse more funds. And if a bank's capital is not enough as per Basel III norms, as per RBI guideline, then that bank may be penalized. So this is the problem, why banks were reluctant to clean up their balance sheet, because the share capital might have reduced. This is the main problem. Okay, so Tushar, your question ki forward market orientation in government borrowing with respect to abolishing market orientation in government borrowing. Okay, you mean to ask market orientation in government borrowing with respect to abolishing SLR. Okay, so you know ki if SLR will be abolished, then bank will not be compelled to buy GSEC, then bank may not buy much GSEC. So it means that government, it will be the demand of government securities to some extent will reduce. One thing. Next thing is that since banks will not be compelled to buy GSEC, so if government want to borrow more and more, so what will happen? Government will sell more and more securities and the price of those government securities will come down. And when price of government security or bond will come down, then interest will go up. Because face value is 100, let us suppose, and lower the price of bond, higher will be the interest. So if SLR will not be there, then if government want to borrow more, then government will supply more securities and price will come down because demand will be limited. Okay, so demand will not increase, and if government will supply more, price will come down. And when price will come down means bond price will come down means interest will increase. So it is called market orientation. Market orientation means if government will borrow more, then interest should increase. So right now when government want to borrow more, interest increases but not much. If SLR will not be there, then if government will borrow more, then interest will go up at faster rate. So we will say interest rate will be based on demand and supply more. Right now, even if government want to borrow more, interest won't increase much because RBI compels bank to buy. So when supply increases, demand by bank may increase, so price of GSEC may not go down so much and interest may not increase so much. So right now the problem is that because of SLR, market orientation is not much in government borrowing, and even if government want to borrow much more, government can borrow even at relatively lower rate of interest. So this indulges government in over borrowing. Okay, but if SLR will not be there, so more government will borrow, interest will go up much in faster pace. So that will say market orientation. Although there is a negative aspect of that. Negative aspect is that cost of government borrowing may increase and cost of financing developmental program will become high. But benefit is that when there will be market orientation, government will be more prudent in borrowing and the more funds will be available for corporates. So corporate bond market will expand. So these are advantages of abolishing SLR, and main problem I told you is it is leading to financial repression. So this will eliminate the financial repression. Financial repression, you know, banks are compelled to invest in GSEC where return is low, where interest is low. Okay, now next is Divya, your question. ARC buy NPA at lower than market price. No, ARC will buy at market price, whatever is market rate. So if there is a loan of 10 crore, so ARC will buy at discount. So whatever will be the market rate means on the basis of demand and supply, at what rate bank want to sell and ARC want to buy, so they will buy at market rate. And bad bank will buy at higher than market rate. Yes, for example, if there is a NPA, non-performing asset of NPA of a bank, let us suppose I told you NPA of 10 crore rupees. Let us suppose SBI is having NPA of 10 crore rupees. Now when SBI will sell it to ARC, so ARC obviously will buy at discount. Let us suppose market rate right now NPAs are much more, so supply of NPA much more. So supply is more, then price will come down. Whenever supply of anything increases, price reduces. So right now ARC may be paying maybe 5 crore rupees for this. Okay, for taking up purchasing this NPA. Now price normally it may be 8 crore maybe, but right now ARC is giving much lesser money. Reason may be this NPA may be of maybe doubtful, or major part may be doubtful or loss asset. So it may be paying less. And since NPAs are much higher, so that is why market rate right now is quite low. Now the issue is that if bad bank will buy, so bad bank will not pay market rate. Bad bank, because if bad bank will also pay market rate, then SBI will lose. So bad bank may pay somewhat higher, maybe 7-8 crore rupee to SBI. So I said right now it should be clear that market rate of NPAs is quite low, and it means that banks are not getting much higher price for the for the NPAs from ARCs. So if bad bank will also buy at the same rate, bank will not benefit. So to support banks, bad bank actually will buy at higher than the market rate. So clear? So ARC buy what you have mentioned, NPA at lower than market rate. No, ARC will buy at market rate and bad bank will buy at higher than market rate. Higher than market rate may be 7-8 crore maybe approximately. So that bank may not lose much, because bad bank is established to support bank. Okay, so what is main difference in ARC and bad bank? The main difference is that ARC, they operate on commercial basis. They will pay whatever they can expect to recover. Okay, they will pay less than that whatever they can expect to recover from this NPA. They operate on commercial basis, and on regular basis normally ARCs operate. But bad banks are not established during normal times. Bad banks are established by government to give support to banks for bailout, for giving bailout to banks. Okay, so this is the main difference. So that is why they will pay slightly higher price so that bank should not lose. The objective is to support banks, because bad bank will pay less money, then bank may lose. So this is the problem. And if they are buying at higher than market price, certainly bad bank will not be able to recover that much money. So bad bank will lose. And who will bear the loss? Usually government bear the loss. Okay, so now next inter-creditor agreement. So yes, Jaidev, you have mentioned bad bank is a last resort. Yes, in general, bad bank is supposed to be a last resort. And as I told you, in this budget, government mentioned that we will set up a national ARC or maybe a bad bank, but technically it will not be a bad bank, because final details are not yet finalized by government. So the only the finance minister has indicated that government will not invest money, but government will give guarantee. So bank should invest money. So since government is not investing, so it will not be as such a bad bank. It will be a special type of ARC, we can say, or national ARC we can say. So why? Because so still we cannot say that bad bank will be established immediately in India. And I think it is a last resort option, so we can wait for some time. We have other options also to recover NPA. Okay, now inter-creditor agreement. So this was drafted by, to mention that ICA, it was drafted by Indian Banks Association. on the recommendation of Sunil Mehta Committee, Indian Banks Association, on the recommendation of Sunil Mehta Committee. Okay, so I told you mid-size loans should be recovered through means a lead lender through ICA, which I have told you earlier. Now, what is ICA? I'll give you a brief idea about this. For example, if there is a NPA, there is a huge NPA, let us suppose 100 crore rupees NPA. So usually in case of huge NPA, different banks provide loan to that big project. Let us suppose different banks are ICICI Bank, like SBI, like PNB, and ILNFS. Okay, infrastructure leasing and financial services. This project may be infrastructure project. So ILFS and other maybe other company. Let us suppose this HDFC, for example. So they have given finance. So under ICA, so it is a agreement among these creditors. These are creditors. So this is a agreement. ICA is an agreement among these creditors. And what happens under this agreement? They will sign an agreement among under ICA the creditors, they appoint one lead lender among themselves. So one creditor will be appointed as lead lender, and the lead lender, let us suppose ICICI may be appointed as lead lender. Okay, so lead lender will prepare a resolution plan, and that resolution plan prepared by this lead lender will be approved by 66% of the creditors by value, and if it is approved, then it will be implemented. Okay, so just write down one line on this ICA to mention that it is an agreement among the creditors to resolve NPAs, under which a lender slash bank is appointed as lead lender. Appointed as lead lender to prepare a revival package, to prepare resolution package. Resolution plan. To prepare resolution plan. Okay, so lead lender will be appointed by all of these, and let us suppose ICICI is appointed as lead lender, it will prepare a resolution plan. So resolution plan may include what? Okay, how to resolve this NPA. Now resolution plan, it may include, also mention, it may include one-time settlement, restructuring of loan, liquidation under IBC, etc. Okay, so this resolution plan may include any option. One is one-time settlement, like they may negotiate with that, okay, how much money you can pay. And in this one-time settlement, normally some waiver will be given, or we can say write-off may be given, write-off, or we can say even haircut. So some haircut may be there, like for example, they may negotiate with this company, and this company say, we cannot pay you 100 crore, but we can give you 70 crore or 80 crore. If you want, we can pay. Otherwise, you can do whatever you want. So this, they may do a settlement. Okay, just pay 70 or 80 crore and we will clear your loan. So one-time settlement. Other is restructuring of loan, as we discussed. This terms and conditions may be relaxed so that this company can pay back loans. The EMI may be reduced, interest may be reduced for some time. And other option is could be liquidation under IBC. These banks may go to court to sell the assets to recover money under Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. So IBC I will discuss separately. So these options could be there. Now this resolution plan to be approved by all of these lenders, at least 66%. To mention this thing, the resolution plan should be approved by 66% of the creditors. 66% of the creditors by value. by 66%, or at least we can say at least 66% of the creditors by value. So if it is approved by 66% of the creditors by value, so and by value means what? Ki those creditors should approve it who has given at least out of 100, 66% means at least 66 crore loan must be given by those creditors who will say yes for this. Whichever option may be taken, first, second, third, or any other option. Okay, but here there is one issue. कि like ICICI Bank may opt for maybe, let us suppose, maybe one-time settlement, let us suppose, and it accepted कि we will accept 70% only. So 30% actually, 70% let us suppose is agreed. Okay, for example, ICICI appointed as lead lender, and this in one-time settlement, the ICICI Bank opted for this. Okay, just pay 70 crore. Don't pay 100 crore. Pay 70 crore, and we will clear your loan. So some creditors may not agree with that view. Although 66% may say yes, but some creditors may not be agree. So they are dissenting creditors. So should they be given exit route or not? If they think this is not the correct option you have chosen, so dissenting creditors may be what, optimistic or maybe pessimistic. So if they are, let us suppose, first pessimistic, they think no, this company won't be able to pay even 70%, means 70 crore. So if they are pessimistic, what they can do, they can sell their share to others. Okay, they can sell their part of loan, share in this loan, means that is the part of their loan to others, but they have to sell at discount. Okay, to mention this thing, कि the dissenting creditors, the dissenting creditors can exit by A option, selling their share of loan, selling their share of loan in the NPA. By selling their share of loan, share means here part, their shares or part of loan to other creditors at 15% discount, of the resolution value. 15% discount of the resolution value. 15% discount of the resolution value. Okay, so I repeat once more, dissenting creditors can exit by selling their share or part in this NPA to other creditors at 15% discount of the resolution value. So what will be resolution value here? So resolution value 70% means 70 crore. Okay. Now if let us suppose, I'm just assuming let's suppose HDFC is a dissenting creditor and HDFC gave 10 crore loan out of this. Okay, so share of HDFC is 10%. Okay, 10 crore means 10%. Now, so what should be resolution value? So 70%. So 70% of 10 crore will be 7 crore. So HDFC Bank, if this will be implemented as such and 70 crore will be received, so HDFC must have got 7 crore. But if HDFC is pessimistic, HDFC may think no, even 7 crore will not be received. So HDFC has one option. It can sell its share in this loan, the 10% part of loan, to other creditors, and it will get how much? 15% less of the resolution value, means 7 crore. So it will get how much? 15% less of 7 crore. So we have to minus, means about approximately 6 crore. Okay, so 15% of 7 will be around 1 crore. So 15% of 7 crore will be deducted. So dissenting creditors can sell their share and go out, but they have to take 15% less. Okay. Second option, why a creditor may be dissenting? Either creditor may be pessimistic, we can't recover even this one, or creditor may become highly optimistic. It may be possible. The creditor may think, why you are opting for this? Why you are giving 30% discount? We can go to court and sell property. It is having so much assets and we can get entire money. So possibility is that this creditor may be, dissenting creditor may be optimistic. Why you are settling? Why you are giving debt waiver of 30% here? So we could have claimed entire money by going to court. So if a creditor is optimistic, then what that creditor can do? So that creditor can buy the share of other in this NPA. The share of the part of loan of other can be bought by the dissenting creditor, but it has to pay 25% more than the resolution value. So next point you mentioned, तो what you have mentioned कि descending creditor can exit by, तो mention purchasing share of other creditors in the NPA. So here share means part. Share does not mean कि equity share or share. So share means English word share. So share or part of other creditors at 25% premium. At 25% premium of the resolution value. At 25% premium of the resolution value. At 25% premium of the resolution value. Okay, so whatever is the resolution value of others, so it will be whatever they have given loan, 70% may be resolution value, and it will pay 25% more of that amount to others and will take over the entire NPA and can do anything whatever it wants. It may go to take any legal action. So dissenting route is available to creditors. Okay, so in case of pessimism they can sell, but for GS point of view only broad idea is sufficient. Last year there was a question on this. What is ICA? So mainly related with the NPA resolution. Okay, the only idea is sufficient. Okay, they can actually exit by selling their share to others, or they can purchase their share. Exact data etc. is not important here. So only just brief idea. I repeat once more. I repeat the entire concept. So under what is this intercreditor agreement? It is an agreement among the creditors, okay, of a NPA. Now, and to resolve that NPA. Now, as per the ICA, the creditors, they will appoint among themselves one creditor as lead lender. Okay, like I give you example, ICA here may be selected as lead lender. Lead lender will prepare a resolution plan. Resolution plan means that lead lender will consult this company why you are not paying NPA and will decide the course of action, what we should do. Resolution plan may include one-time settlement, that is giving some waiver and taking money, clearing the loan. Other is restructuring of loan, that is reducing some EMI or interest rate etc. temporarily. And other is liquidation, means sale of company through code or under as per the norms of IBC, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. So any one option it has selected. Whatever resolution plan opted, prepared by this, that plan has to be approved by 66% of the creditors by value. Okay, but if some creditors who are dissenting creditors, who don't agree, so they can go out. They can sell their share to others. That their share means their part of loan in NPA to others, or they can purchase other loans. That is sufficient. This percentage etc. is not so important. Only broad idea. Okay, in 2019, then it was earlier compulsory. Then in 2019, RBI made it compulsory. So RBI said if there are two or more lenders are there in a loan, it is compulsory. Okay, so two things changes were made. To mention this RBI guidelines in 2019. So just one is that ICA will be compulsory. IC will be compulsory to resolve loans, to resolve NPAs in which there are two or more lenders. Okay, so ICA will be compulsory in resolving NPAs in which two or more lenders are there. Okay, one point. Second point, just mentioned that dissenting creditors cannot exit. Dissenting creditors cannot exit if resolution plan is approved by. Dissenting creditors cannot exit if resolution plan is approved by. Resolution plan is approved by 75% of the creditors by value. 75% creditors by value and 60% by number, and 60% by number of creditors. 75% by value and 60% by number of creditors. So I'll repeat this thing. If a resolution plan is approved by 75% of the creditors by value, means if those creditors who have given at least 75 crore loan out of this, if they have approved one thing, and those creditors should be 60%, means just like here 5 are there. So out of 5, 3 must say yes. So if out of 5, 3 have said yes, and those 3 account for more than 75% of the total loan at least, so then nobody can go out. Then this descending creditor cannot go out. Okay, so it was leading to some delay. That is why RBI said that exit route will not be available. Okay, so Devesh, you have asked the part details are not very important. I give you brief idea again. Descending creditors have the exit route. How they can go out? They can sell their part in this loan or share in this loan to others at 15% discount. And 15% of discount of which value? Of not the total amount of loan, of the resolution value. Resolution value means whatever as per this plan is expected to recover. Whatever is expected from this, I assume 70%. So expected recovery will be 70 crore on 100 crore loan. So, and this institution is given 10% loan. So resolution value of this is 7 crore. Okay. So it will sell to others, but it will not get 7 crore. It will get 15% less of 7 crore. And if it want to buy share of others, so it can buy share of others by paying 25% extra of the others value. Whatever is the resolution value of others, it has to pay 25% extra. Only broad idea is sufficient. You need not require to remember exact details. So right now ICA is being used, and I told you already government accepted recommendation, most of all recommendations of Sunil Mehta committee, and ICA is being used to recover NPA. I'll give you a brief idea about some resolution schemes which were there earlier. So resolution schemes. So IC seeks to overcome the problems in those resolution schemes. Okay, resolution schemes. One resolution scheme was Joint Lenders Forum, JLF. So earlier JLF was there. What is Joint Lender Forum? Actually these lenders, ICC etc., these lenders, they will appoint a representative and will make a JLF. Okay, so what is JLF? So JLF means these lenders, these 5 lenders will appoint their nominees, and then JLF will decide will make the resolution plan. Okay, so this JLF will prepare the resolution plan. I am writing RP, or it was also called corrective action plan. So it will decide what we have to take decision. So what is difference in ICA and JLF? In ICA, one institution, lead lender, prepare the resolution plan. Under joint lender forum, JLF will prepare the resolution plan, and JLF consists of representative of all lenders. Okay, so these are actually creditors. Creditors means banks / FIs. So each bank actually representative will be there in this, and JLF will make a plan. So there were delays in this because obviously if there are representatives of different banks, so then decision making will be difficult. Okay, and here one bank is making the plan, and only that has to be approved by 66% of the creditors. So earlier in JLF there was much delay in decision making, and dissenting creditors were blocking the decision, and there was no exit route for dissenting creditors. So this was one reason dissenting creditors were creating hurdles actually in implementation. And consensus also become difficult to make a plan because different banks have different perspectives. They were putting different views, so taking decision was very difficult here. Okay, now in ICA decision will be taken by one institution only. Anyone will be appointed as lead lender, and that will decide so preparation of resolution plan will become more now specific. So this was, now this is abundant actually, some schemes. I'll give you a brief idea why they were abundant, what issues were there. Second scheme was actually this strategic debt restructuring. Strategic debt restructuring. What is this strategic debt restructuring? Under this, if there is default, on restructured loan, if let us suppose bank restructure loan, if default on restructured loan, then what bank can do? Then under this scheme, RBI empowered bank to convert loan into equity. Then what banks will do? Bank will convert its loan into equity, means shares. Bank will convert loan into shares. Now when bank will convert loan into shares, so bank will become, shareholder, and bank will take over management. Okay, and take over of management. So bank will replace the existing management and will take over management. Will appoint any a person to manage. The management will be appointed by the bank. Okay, and it was done through JLF earlier. So JLF will appoint a management. So objective is that now bank will see how company could be revived, and if it is not revived, now ultimately company is in the hand of bank. So bank will see what is situation, how much assets can we sell, or shall we try to revive this business. So this is SDR. So because sometimes lenders, they were not willing to, the owners of the company, they were not willing to pay loan. So here they will lose management. So strategic debt restructuring, I repeat once more, if default on restructured loan happened, bank restructured loan first and then again company defaulted, then bank can take over management, will convert the loan into shares and take over management. So, and then bank will take decision what we should do. Shall we sell this company, revive this company, and how we can recover our money? Because mainly the companies which are close to insolvency, mainly the money is of financial institutions is there in those companies. Other scheme was a scheme for sustainable structuring of stressed assets. S4A. So S4A means SSSSA. So 2 years back it was asked in prelims also, what is this? So it is related with, only basic they have asked, related with restructuring of loan. So a scheme for sustainable structuring of stressed assets. So what is this scheme? Under this scheme, if there is a NPA, then NPA to be divided into two parts. One is sustainable and non-sustainable. Okay, so NPA divided into two parts, but condition was that more than 50% must be sustainable component. Okay, if the amount of loan is 100 crore, then more than 50 crore must be sustainable component. Now what is meaning of sustainable component here? Sustainable means which can be paid back. Okay, we can say can be paid back, can be paid. Can be paid in simple words, company can pay the installment as per current revenue, of the company. Let us suppose the total loan is 100 crore and company may not be able to pay EMI on 100 crore, but company may pay EMI maybe on 60 or 70 crore. So bank will do what? Will reduce the loan to maybe 70 crore. Okay, so this is a sustainable component, is that component which can be paid back or serviced by bank, by the company on the basis of its revenue. Okay, and regarding non-sustainable component, it will be converted to equity, converted to shares. Non-sustainable component may be converted to shares. So can we say effective loan amount will reduce? Because for example, total NPA is 100 crore. So out of this maybe 70 crore and 30 crore. So since 30 crore loan will be converted to shares, so the total loan will remain 70 crore. Now bank has to pay EMI on 70 crore only. Okay. So and on what basis it is decided how much component will be sustainable? On the basis of the revenue of company, how much it can pay back. Okay, and this loan will no longer remain. Now what is advantage here? Advantage here is that first of all, amount of loan on company will reduce. Maybe instead of 100 crore, it will be 70 crore only, because this will no longer be loan, it will be share. So it can pay EMI. One thing, one benefit. Second benefit is that bank will buy share, although initially value of share will not be much. So bank will lose initially, but if company may revive, then price of share may go up, bank may even benefit in that. So this is the benefit of this sustainable structuring of stressed assets. Now in this case, can bank take over management of company? So answer obviously is no here, because majority should be sustainable component. So management cannot be taken over. Okay, in SDR management will be taken over, not in actually in this. So management cannot be taken over. Clear? Now, and one more scheme was there, that is corporate debt restructuring. Corporate debt restructuring, CDR. So under this scheme, loan was restructured. Okay, so loan restructured means some relaxation was given by RBI. Just I told you कि debt restructuring, so corporate debt restructuring. Okay, so loan restructuring means कि reducing EMI or interest rate on loan. Now, just give me answer of one question कि if company is marginally in problem, then which scheme is better? Second, third, fourth? Give me answer. If company is facing minor temporary problems and company is not able to pay EMI, then which is best option? Second, SDR, S4A or CDR? So minor problem. So answer obviously, in minor problem, the scheme will be obviously CDR, fourth, because it is better to give some temporary relaxation to company and so that company can pay back. So answer will be 4, not 3. Minor problem, answer will be 4. So most of you have given answer 3, so wrong. Only few people are correct. Minor problem, to why to even reduce the amount of loan? It is better to just restructure, give some temporary relaxation. Say minor problem, so answer is CDR, restructure loan. Okay, now next give me answer of another question. Ki if company is almost insolvent, almost all assets are actually not much assets are there with the company. Company has become, means liabilities are much more as compared to assets, let us suppose. Then which scheme is best? Second, third, fourth? So if company is nearing bankruptcy, so which scheme? Means huge losses. Then obviously answer is, obviously if company is almost bankrupt, then second. Achha, Rahul, you have asked about this JLF, I'll repeat. So obviously then second scheme. So if nothing is left, so it is better to take over management. Okay, so in minor problem, restructuring of loan. In major problem, when company is almost bankrupt, then this. If in middle, then this one. Clear? So I think very simple. And JLF, actually under JLF is a forum which consisted of the representatives of each creditor in a NPA. And JLF will prepare the resolution plan. So the difference between IC inter-creditor agreement and JLF is that here one among these creditors will appoint one as lead lender, and that will prepare the resolution plan. In JLF, resolution plan was prepared not by any one creditor, by all creditors in JLF. Okay, so obviously when different representatives of different banks will be there, who will decide the resolution plan, then different banks may have different opinions. Then preparation of resolution plan was much delayed. This was the problem. Other problem was that there was no exit route in JLF, so that is why it was also delayed. So Mansi, you have mentioned what is advantage if bank will take over management? The advantage, yes, you are saying correctly, if company is loss making or maybe non-viable, so what is benefit? The benefit is that bank can see what is status, whether it can be revived or not. If it can revive, then bank can think of reviving it through professionals, and bank will appoint some professionals to manage that company. And second, if bank think company cannot be revived, it is completely non-viable, the bank will immediately sell. So bank will immediately sell to recover money. Because otherwise, if the management will be held by other people, they may not actually cooperate with bank fully. So here bank will take the decision final, what we have to do, what is the best option among us. So that is why bank can, losses of bank could be reduced. But later, what happened, these schemes were successful or not? So obviously there were some problems. These schemes were not much successful, especially like this JLF, there was a significant delay in decision making, and dissenting creditors actually, because of lack of exit route, they were delaying this. So this was the problem in this. Similarly, like in these restructuring schemes, etc., what happened ki just like in CDR, S4A, so restructuring was done by bank, and even after restructuring there was again lapse. So overall, RBI realized that these schemes are giving some temporary relief. They help in reducing NPA temporarily. They said, okay, just reduce the burden. And once burden is reduced, again they defaulted. So this was very common. So that is why RBI thought that now this leniency will not help. So because there was multiple lapses were there. Like loan restructured, again then there was, again this. So RBI then in 2018 abandoned all these schemes. So then RBI guideline, so in 2018 in February, first point is that RBI abolished these resolution schemes. Okay, so all these resolution schemes were abandoned. Okay, so JLF, SDR, S4A, CDR were abandoned. And then RBI gave a instruction to banks कि in case of loans beyond 2000 crore, so banks have to resolve them within 180 days. Otherwise, they have to start liquidation process under IBC. Okay, so this was a very harsh guideline. So RBI removed all the schemes because they were not much working. They were giving rather more time. These were used by corporates to buy more time. And there may be some kind of chances, some nexus between bank management and the corporates, where actually they were giving benefit to the corporates. So RBI said now it is up to you individually or collectively, whatever you want, do that thing, and you should actually resolve a loan, especially your 2000 crore or more, the big loans, within 180 days. If you fail to recover, means resolve the loan, resolve the NPA, then you have to go to court to sell property under IBC. So that decision was although very harsh and challenged in Supreme Court, and by next year 2019 Supreme Court said no, you cannot impose this condition कि within 6 months means 180 day means 6 months, कि if you fail to resolve you have to go to court for liquidation. So Supreme Court turned down that decision. But anyhow, when RBI gave decision in February, and almost after 1 year Supreme Court turned down that. So it was applicable for almost 1 year. So during that time, lot of cases gone under liquidation, and this helped in recovery also. Although that decision was very harsh, but even Supreme Court turned down that. But that decision was very effective, very useful to reduce NPA. So after in 2018, 19 some NPAs reduced also. So this was one decision also was responsible for reduction of NPA. Apart from that, then later in June Sunil Mehta committee, Sunil Mehta committee recommendation were adopted and ICA were finalized. And then in 2019, RBI guidelines said that now ICA will be compulsory. So right now the main approach is through ICA banks are resolving this, and the main the mechanism which is assisting bank to recover NPAs, this IBC. Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. So I will discuss just after this. Achha. And one more thing, though, these are some issues I have discussed. The problems I told you already. What problems were faced by this, I told you bad bank will resolve those problems like lack of consensus, delay in decision making, balance sheet concerns. Those issues were there, and bad bank may abolish, remove those problems. Okay, so I have discussed the issues, and some issues were there in this. Okay. And situation of NPA, I have told you already the trend कि NPA somewhat reduced, but now after COVID they are expected to further increase. Achha, why they reduce? During COVID moratorium was given. Even if company was not given EMI, it was not classified as NPA. So when moratorium period will be over now, then if a company will not pay EMI, then it will become NPA after 3 months. So it ended in August. Now NPA, those after 3 months of August, 2020, then loan will start becoming NPA, some new loans. So that is why RBI projected that NPA may increase. Now before IBC, the most important initiative is IBC. Now before IBC, RBI is creating one important institution which will help in reducing NPAs. That is Public Credit Registry. Public Credit Registry, PCR. So what is public credit registry? To mention that it is an electronic database of credit related information which is being established by the RBI, electronic database of credit related information which is being established by the RBI on the recommendation of Y.M. Deutzele's committee. DEOSTHALEE. Y.M. Deutzele's committee. So Y.M. Deutzele committee was set up, and it said that this should be created. So RBI is has actually shortlisted some companies, IT companies, to create this information repository or information data bank. So it is in the process of establishment. So what is function of this? To mention that it will maintain complete credit profile. It will maintain complete credit profile of each individual and firm. That is complete credit profile of each individual and firm. That is, it will collect information. That is, it will collect information about bank loans, their repayment schedule, bank loans, their repayment schedule, credit card transactions, issue of bonds, external borrowings, utility bill payments, like electricity bill, mobile bill, utility bill payments, payment to suppliers by firms, etc. So I repeat once more, it will maintain actually complete credit profile of each individual and firm. So whatever transactions are there related with credit, so will be recorded for each individual. For example, if there is a person, so how much loan that person has taken and what is repayment schedule, person is paying EMI on time or not, and the credit card details. Credit card is also a type of loan. So whether a person is actually using credit card properly, means paying on time or not. And even for people, like people are paying electricity bill, telephone bill on time or not. And so whatever obligations are there, so monetary obligations, whether a person is doing that or not. And for firms, these transactions, as well as how are they making payment to their suppliers or not on time. Apart from that, have they issued any bond? Are they receiving means bond and borrowing, maybe from India or abroad. Bond is also means of borrowing. So complete actually details, their transactions, etc. will be maintained by this. So what will be advantage? Is complete record of each individual and each firm will be there, credit record. So what will be advantage of this? So advantage, obviously, banks will have idea. Banks actually will have idea which person is how much credit worthy. So it will, we can say, it will remove information asymmetry. So information asymmetry, that is, it will enable information asymmetry, and that is, it will enable banks to distinguish between good and bad borrower. Bank can distinguish between good and bad borrowers. Okay, information asymmetry will be abolished, and when information asymmetry will be abolished, then bank can distinguish ki what is actually the profile of borrower, ki which is good borrower, which is bad borrower. Second thing, it will reward good borrowers. To reward good borrowers. How it will reward good borrowers? It will reduce interest rate for such borrowers. That is, interest rate will reduce for such borrowers. So bank will be willing to readily give loan at low rate of interest because risk will be low. And bank will know कि if people who are doing some default, who have defaulted on previous loans or payment to creditors, etc. So those people are or firms are more expected to default. So it will help in reducing NPAs in future. So reduce NPAs in future. Okay, because whatever loans have been given that are given, so future NPAs will reduce because bank would identify the this big borrowers and these bad borrowers. Apart from that, this will serve as a deterrence also. Like people and firms, they would not like to default because if they will default once, then they will not be able to avail credit in future. And other is it will enhance credit flow to MSMEs. Enhance credit flow to MSMEs. So it will enhance credit flow to MSMEs. So credit flow to MSMEs how? Because usually small companies don't have much credit profile. So here at least some transactions will be there. They are buying raw material and making payment. They are paying this much electricity bill, this much telephone bill, etc. So some credit profile will be available. So it will be easier for them to access bank credit. Because main problem is that when MSME go to bank, so there is no record of any transaction with the company. So bank has no information. So bank will get some information. So credit flow to MSMEs will also increase. So this is these will be the advantage of public credit registry PCR. Yes, actually Tushar, you have said that we already have CIBIL. Yes, we have actually credit information bureaus are there. So we have some credit information bureaus. Example is CIBIL. We have CIBIL. So what is CIBIL? So write down full form CIBIL. CIBIL is Credit Information Bureau. Credit Information Bureau of India Limited. So Credit Information Bureau of India Limited. So right now CIBIL is working and CIBIL also collect information just like I have told you. But so if we already have CIBIL, why we need PCR? The reason is that CIBIL has credit related information. Let us suppose if you will take a loan and you default on that loan, then that information will be updated in the CIBIL. And if you go to other bank, then other bank will know that you have defaulted on the first loan through the CIBIL. And CIBIL actually gives a credit score also. CIBIL score is said. So score is I think about up to 900 score is there. So above 700 is supposed to be good. If your CIBIL score is 700 or more, it means that easily any bank can give you loan. And if it is below that, it is difficult for you to borrow. So CIBIL also collect credit information. Then why we need this? Your question is this. The reason is that CIBIL actually maintains information but not complete information. Here the information mainly the loan and credit card related information is there. Okay, but here it will include information about utility bill payment and apart from that supplier payment and lot of other actually transactions. So it is said 360 degree profile of creditor. Okay, apart from that here CIBIL just like it will include borrowing by companies from abroad, etc. So various actually so this will be much more broader database. Okay, apart from that here entities are limited here and here almost all economic entities, maybe all, people, firms, organizations, everybody's record will be maintained. Apart from CIBIL, we have now it is purchased by one company called TransUnion. So its name is TransUnion CIBIL Limited now. Apart from that, we have CRILC. So other database is CRILC. So it is with the RBI. So it is with TransUnion and this is with RBI. CRILC stands for Central Repository. Central Repository of Information on large credits. Central repository of information on large credits. So this is a data bank with RBI, and it is for large credit. Large credit means for 5 crore. Rupees 5 crore or more loan. Information of only large credit are there in CRILC. So, and apart from that, there are some credit rating agencies which also maintain some credit related information. So there are a lot of credit information bureaus which maintain record, like CIBIL, CRILC and some other credit rating agencies, etc. But they are actually not very holistic, they are not huge. So if this major actually will be created, then it will contain entire 360-degree profile, credit profile of each individual and each entity. So this will be bigger version of this public credit registry. So in future it will reduce NPAs, it will serve as a deterrent. Okay, so we have but small and partial. Okay, so these are some measures which are initiated by government and RBI to reduce NPA, and the most important measure, as I told you, is IBC. So I will discuss IBC in detail. So IBC, as you know, stands for Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. So Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code is actually this code or this act is very important reform of this government. Rather we can say, economists say that it is, if we talk about the important reform measures by this government, so number one is usually economists believe that GST, and second is IBC. So it is supposed to be the one among the most important reforms initiated by this government. Okay, so although usually I take up with this in industrial sickness, in industrial sector, but it is very much relevant for banking sector now, because this act is enabling banks to recover NPAs. So this is playing an important role in actually recovery of NPAs. So that is why I am taking up this in this chapter here. So first of all, I will discuss what is meaning of insolvency and what is meaning of bankruptcy. Okay, so there are two meanings of insolvency. Okay, so I will discuss the overall this act background issues and how it is helping banks to recover and NPA, and how actually it is a landmark reform. Okay, so first of all, meaning of insolvency. Insolvency, there are two meanings of insolvency. One, I told you, is a condition when assets of a company are less than its liabilities. Okay, which I told you already. Assets less than liabilities. Okay, it means that owner's money is lost. Owner's investment, net worth becomes zero. So owner's investment is called net worth. So there is nothing, owner's money is 100% lost. So one meaning of insolvency is this. Second meaning of insolvency is that default on payment. Default on payments, or any payment, rather any payment of installment to bank, or payment of supplier creditor, or payment of salary to employees. Default on payment, if there is due and payment remain overdue. So any payment remain overdue, then company is also called insolvent. Now in this act, which definition is used? First or second one? So in this act, the second definition is used. When we say insolvency here, insolvency means any default on any payment. If any payment remain overdue, so insolvency resolution process could be started against anybody against whom any payment is due. Okay, although asset may be much more than liabilities, still insolvency resolution process can be initiated. So, but in normal parlance, when we use the word insolvency, we mean first one usually. Earlier also I told you, but in this act, default is there. Now if a company will not pay salary of employee can go to court against the company for insolvency resolution. Or if company will not make payment to supplier of raw material, so raw material supplier may go to court. So anybody can go. So default on payment, or bank, if EMI is not paid, then bank can go against company to sell that company under this. Okay, now this is meaning of insolvency. What is meaning of bankruptcy? So bankruptcy means legal process to resolve insolvency. तो legal process, then if any payment is due of anybody, like maybe bank's installment or worker's salary or supplier's credit, then any one of them may go to court and may start bankruptcy proceedings. So means once actually the person will sue in court, that process, legal process to resolve insolvency, to recover money, is called bankruptcy. So legal process to resolve insolvency is called bankruptcy. So it will deal with insolvency and the legal process associated with resolving insolvency. Okay, that is bankruptcy. Okay, but usually, insolvency and bankruptcy usually are used interchangeably, but this is the exact difference you should know between insolvency and bankruptcy. So this act deals with insolvency and how to resolve insolvency, legal process to resolve insolvency. Now, what is objective of this act? The main objective of this act is one is to identify stress. To identify stress in business at early stage. At early stage. It means that company should not be allowed to go completely, nothing. It should not be that asset should remain much liability. If there is some minor default, at early stage we should identify the stress. So that is why, even this definition is used here. If we might have gone for this definition, it means that situation has become much worse now. Even if assets will be sold, liabilities will not be met. So to identify stress in business at early stage. Next is quick revival of viable business. Quick revival of viable business. Viable means the business which can be converted to profitable business, so could be quickly revived. And revival will be possible if we identify the problem at early stage. If problem will increase much, then revival will be difficult. Second is liquidation of non-viable business. Liquidation of non-viable business. If business is non-viable, it should be immediately sold. And other objective, to protect interest. To protect interest of all stakeholders. To protect interest of all stakeholders. To protect interest of all stakeholders. Stakeholders, like earlier laws mainly seeks to protect interest of banks. Bank used to go to court against the company, but suppliers hardly got anything, or workers they also lost earlier. Now the objective is to protect interest of not only creditors, rather and other stakeholders also, like the suppliers, workers, etc. When a company becomes insolvent, so company usually also withheld salaries of employees, etc. It is very common. Those companies which shut down, so they usually held up salaries of employees, suppliers, payment, etc. So objective is to protect interest of all stakeholders. This was the main object. These were the objectives of this act. Now I will discuss briefly the background in India, why this act actually is needed and why it is supposed to be a landmark act. So I will go to background now. So why it is supposed to be a landmark reform? What issues were there in the economy earlier before this act? So earlier the main act which deals with insolvency was Sikh industrial companies. Sikh industrial companies in bracket special provisions Act 1985. Sikh Industrial Companies in bracket Special Provisions Act, in short called SICA, SICA. Okay, so Sikh Industrial Companies Act. So SICA was the main act. So under this act there was a definition of Sikh unit, Sikh company. So what was SIC company? SIC company was that, to mention that it defined SIC company as the company registered for at least 5 years and its net worth was negative. Net worth became negative rather. Net worth became negative. Net worth became negative. So registered for at least 5 years and net worth became negative. And net worth means assets minus liabilities net worth. Okay, so what is net worth? Assets minus liabilities. So negative means that liabilities are more than assets. So as per this act, the definition of insolvency was first definition. So earlier we were following the first definition in this act. So in simple word, when a company become insolvent means assets less than liability, means net worth negative, means same thing. Okay, and it should be registered for 5 years. So that company will be SIC company. Clear? So this was definition. So here we can say definition also change. Why? Because when net worth will become negative, then nothing is left. So it has become a later stage, so it will be difficult to revive that company. And under this act, one important body was set up to tackle industrial sickness. Which was the main body? Do you know? Under this act, or before we can say this act, IBC. So the main agency, to write down this thing, कि Board for Industrial and Financial Reconstruction. Board for Industrial and Financial Reconstruction, BIFR. BIFR was established under SICA as a quasi-judicial authority. BIFR was established under SICA as a quasi-judicial authority to tackle industrial sickness. Quasi-judicial authority to tackle industrial sickness. So quasi-judicial means case it was actually having some judicial officers and some technical experts were there in BIFR. So it was the main agency, nodal agency to tackle industrial sickness in the country. And also mention it was mandatory for SIC units. It was mandatory for SIC units to get themselves registered with the BIFR. To get themselves registered with the BIFR. So it was mandatory for SIC units to get themselves registered with the BIFR. If a company became SIC, the SIC unit means SIC company, so it have to be registered with BIFR. It has to go to BIFR. Now what BIFR can do? To mention this thing also, after registration of a SIC unit, the BIFR may opt for revival of the company, Now it may offer what? Either revival of the company or liquidation. Revival of the company or liquidation. So if any company became SIC, it has to be registered with BIFR. Okay, so I repeat once more, BIFR was the quasi-judicial body and nodal agency to tackle industrial sickness. So as per this SICA, SIC company have to be registered with have to be registered with the BIFR. So if a company becomes sick, it has to be registered. If this means company become insolvent, it has to be registered. Sick means insolvent earlier. So it has to be registered with the BIFR. Once a company is registered, then BIFR has two options brought. One option is revival package, and second option is actually liquidation. It may give an order to sell the company, the assets of the company, and pay the dues, whatever. So these two options were there. So revival package, and revival package include how company could be revived. Revival packages may include merger of company with other company. Revival package may include this technical restructuring. Technical restructuring means changing technology, or managerial restructuring, changing management. Okay, so etc. Managerial restructuring, technical restructuring. Okay, and because some technical experts were there, so objective is to revive company. So how to revive company, how to convert loss making to profit making company. But if BIFR may think business is non-viable, then it will give order to sell the company and sell assets and recover and pay back the dues of that company. So clear? So revival package or liquidation. So revival package include merger of company, okay, technical restructuring, managerial restructuring, additional finance, etc. Whatever BIFR may think it is needed to revive the company, to convert loss making into profit making. Two options were there with the BIFR. Now BIFR must have opted for which option? So actually now working of BIFR was much, actually rather I will say, criticized. So BIFR opted for now functioning of BIFR. So functioning of BIFR. So in most cases BIFR opted for which option? First, second. So in most cases BIFR opted for revival option. In most cases BIFR opted for revival option, and it prepared revival packages, and those packages were successful or failed, and most of these revival packages actually failed. So it opted for a revival package. Second point you mentioned, that most of the revival packages failed. Most of the revival packages failed, and once it failed, then it opted for the second option. Now if it can never be, now it can not be revived, then it gave order for liquidation. Then liquidation. Okay, since ultimately when company cannot be revived, it will wait for maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and after 2, 3, 4 or 5 years, when it became clear now company cannot be revived, losses further increase and nothing is left now, so it gave order to sell. So what will happen? If company will try to revive, and company will not actually will not revive, ultimately who will lose? The bank will lose, because bank have to wait for long, and bank had no other legal recourse, because this is a matter is sub judice. So bank cannot go to any other court. So it gave rather refuge to sick companies, the bankrupt companies, and protected them from any other legal action from bank. So bank cannot take any legal action, bank's funds were held up. This was the main problem, and this functioning of BIFR was criticized by two committees. So government set up two committees relating to this. So one committee was Onkar Goswami Committee, ONKAR, Onkar Goswami Committee 1993, and second committee was Justice B. Reddy, Balakrishnan Reddy committee in 2000. And both committees gave almost similar recommendations. Both committees criticized working of BIFR. So both committees said that first of all there is a flaw in the definition of sickness, because the sickness definition means when assets are less than liability, when net worth becomes zero. So they said that actually here it is too late. So company will become dead, it will not become sick, it will become dead. And why BIFR revival packages failed? So both these committees said that what BIFR is doing, BIFR is trying to revive the dead company rather than sick company. So these committees suggested that the definition of sickness should be changed. It should not be 100% erosion of net worth. Rather, company should be regarded as sick if the net worth may reduce to half. So whatever is owner's equity. So if owner's equity reduced to half, if losses will be half of the equal to the owner's equity, then we consider that company sick, and then we should try to revive rather than wait for complete elimination of owner's equity, because losses will reduce owner's equity. If losses are half or more than owner's equity, then we will consider to be sick. So change the definition, both of these said. And finally here in IBC, as such, definition effectively already changed. But as such, there is no specific definition of sickness in this act. Okay, so there is no specific definition of industrial sickness. So here it is simply default on any payment. Okay, that is insolvency here practically. As such, sickness is not defined, just like it was there in this act. So this act is there still. SICA has been amended by IBC. So SICA is not abolished, SICA has been amended. Now as such, we don't have any specific definition of industrial sickness, neither in Companies Act 2013 nor in this. And here it is amended. Okay, so one thing. Second, it said that they criticized the working of these points were noted by these committees. So although Onkar Goswami committee noted all these things, and then but finally government did not take any action. But then later government set up Justice Reddy committee, and then government made some changes. Then Companies Act was amended first, and then finally in 2013 Companies Act was actually replaced. So earlier Companies Act 1956, then later 2013. Okay, so one thing is that these both committees noted the definition is wrong, and company became sick, not sick but dead, and you are trying to revive dead unit. So first definition should be changed, and process should be time bound. Within a given time frame, company should be revived, otherwise it should be sold. So it should not wait for long. So lot of problems were created. Now what problems were there because of this thing? So write down problems. So one problem because of this is that the process, insolvency resolution process was very lengthy. So lengthy, or we can say time taking rather, process of insolvency resolution. Okay, means very slow process rather, we can say. Time taking process of insolvency resolution. And it took, in India, insolvency resolution process took 4.3 years. So time taking process of insolvency resolution. So it took 4 years on an average, 4.3 years to resolve insolvency. Okay, and since time taking process was very slow, so if any company became non-viable, it became very difficult for that company to get out. So it created, because of this thing, exit became very difficult. So difficulties in exit. Exit of firms. So difficulties in exit of firms. Exit of firm means if a firm want to shut down its operation, then actually it was a very long run process. Even when company defaulted, then bank will go to court. It was a long run process. Even if company themselves wanted to shut down, it has to go to long process. BFR permission needed, and when BFR will give order, then High Court have to say yes on sale of that company. So it will take long time. So difficulties in exit of firms, and it affected ease of doing business. So it affected reduce ease of doing business, because World Bank publishes this report, ease of doing business, and in that this report is based on 10 important parameters like starting business, registering property, getting credit, getting electricity connection. So, and one parameter is insolvency resolution. So our rank was very poor before this act on insolvency resolution criteria. So after this, this act, our rank has improved significantly. And the contribution, this act is among major important, measures taken by government to improve our rank on ease of doing business. Other problem is that, as I told you, it gave legal refuse to sick companies, and it debarred bank from taking restrained bank from taking any legal action. So it actually, the banks funds were held up for long. So we can say in simple word, NPAs of banks increased. Okay, NPAs increase, and it give legal refuge to sick units. Okay, or mention this thing, it give legal refuge to sick units. Okay, Ajay, please put your queries in the in this query portal, but not in your response portal. Please give only responses in the response portal. So NPAs increase, and it give refuge to sick units against any legal process. So it gives protection to this. Another very important problem why banks suffered losses, just assume this thing, let us suppose there are owners of a company and company has become insolvent. Okay, sick means insolvent as per first definition. It means that if company will be sold today, for example, today if company has become insolvent as per first definition, which was there in this, net worth is negative. So do you think owners will get something, yes or no? If company will be sold today, owners will get something or not? Yes or no? So answer obviously, if owners actually, money is, so if assets are less than liability, so asset will be sold, even liabilities will not be met. So shareholders, preference shareholders certainly will not get anything. So answer obviously is no, they will not get anything. And certainly those owners must have tried to revive business or not. If anybody is doing business, so obviously answer is very simple, no. So they must have tried their business, so chance of revival, and the same management is reviving the business. So chance is much or not, business can be revived, because owners have lost everything. So what owners will do? So do you think owners will be likely to, let us suppose I am owner of a business, I invested some money, okay, and that is lost now. I know my business has become insolvent. Okay, now if business may be sold today, I am not going to get anything, and I must have tried my best to recover. Now chances are much or not much to recovery now. If I am the management, I am trying to recover, revive that business. So I must have tried earlier also. One thing. Second thing is that what I will think. I will think, I have lost this much money, I invested this money, I have lost that money. So would I try to recover my loss or not? So then what, the bank management of companies, they started doing some, some malpractices to recover their money. Okay, how they were doing malpractices? Like the management of company will buy raw material of 10 lakh rupee, but officially they will ask the supplier to issue bill of 15 lakh, and I will make payment from company 15 lakh, and 5 lakh give me under table. What's the point? This is possible or not? Because if management know that I have lost everything, today or tomorrow when company will be sold, I am not going to get anything. So, but I have management control, so I can make money. How? By buying raw material at higher price and then take back the extra amount under table. So got the point? Apart, so what companies did? They started doing malpractices and they keep on selling assets. They surreptitiously sell most of the assets. So that is called asset stripping. It lead to asset stripping. So management of companies lead to asset stripping, because I think what the point, why asset stripping? Means surreptitiously selling assets and doing some malpractices like buying raw material at high price, making payment from company and then taking back under table. So losses of company will increase or not? If management certainly okay, we have lost everything now and chances are not much we will get something. So it is better to make money out of this. So asset stripping happened actually. Apart from that, asset stripping happened, bank cannot do anything, bank cannot go to any court because this matter is sub judice. So, and by the time it used to give order in 3, 4, 5 years, so nothing was left because owners have already sold most of their assets. So it leads to actually capital remain stuck in non-viable business. So fifth point you mentioned, capital remain stuck in non-viable business. Capital remain stuck in non-viable business. So capital remain stuck in non-viable business for long, because capital is very scarce in India. So we are obviously capital scarce country. So if that capital could be if this company may be liquidated, that capital could be shifted to other business that could be better utilize the whatever resources. So it was leading to wastage of resources. So these were the problems. Now why I have discussed these problems in detail? Because what are advantages of this IBC? So advantages are all of these. So first advantage that it has reduced the insolvency resolution time period. So earlier 4.3 years, now it is less than 1 year. Less than 1 year. Okay, within 1 year company under IBC, on an average less than 1 year is needed to resolve insolvency. Second problem, exit problem actually has been resolved. So earlier, and our ease of doing business rank has improved significantly. So you might have seen data. So overall rank was 63 last year, earlier it was 142. So, and our rank in ease of doing resolving insolvency was very poor actually, poor than average rank. Other is NPA problem. You can see especially when after this act became effective, especially when RBI guidelines of February 2018 within 6 months either resolve NPA or go to court under this. So after that there was significant reduction in NPAs. So it helped in reducing NPA. Apart from that, now asset stripping will not be there. Because under IBC, once the resolution process will start, management immediately will be taken over from the existing management. Management will be given to professionals. Okay, so asset stripping will not be there. Apart from that, capital will not remain stuck in non-viable business. So quickly it will be liquidated. So I will discuss how. So because IBC is based on international best practices and it is based on professional, professionalism. Management will be undertaken by company will be revived not by the existing management but by professionals who have expertise in that, who are well qualified for that. And there is a separate regulator, separate courts, and some other consultancy services are provided to them so that they can take action in a very professional manner based on some analysis and research. So clear? So this is these are the advantages. And one last point I will discuss before this in background. Because of these problems, there was in economic survey usually it was mentioned. So I will quote one line was mentioned in economic survey. Economic survey of 2015 has noted one very important phrase for Indian economy. Just write down that phrase. Indian economy has moved from socialism with restricted entry to marketism without exit. From socialism with restricted entry to marketism without exit. Okay, so economic survey of 2015 mentioned this thing, कि Indian economy has moved from socialism with restricted entry. So in pre-reform era, it should be clear they have used the word socialism, but it should be very clear that we were never a socialist economy. India has never been a socialist economy. So India was actually having a tilt towards socialism, but the word socialism, they have used the word, but they have not exactly mentioned that we were a social economy as such. And with restricted entry because of license, permit, okay, license, permit, quota, etc. So earlier in pre-reform era, license, permit, quota Raj was there. So entry was not easy. To establish business, you need permission. To what? To marketism without exit. So marketism means we adopted reforms in 1991, LPG policy. So LPG actually give marketism but without exit. Now you can see here, entry became easy, but exit was, no route of exit was there. So this was a major problem actually which affected ease of doing business. Okay, entry has become free, but exit still is not free. And they said that in India, doing business has become like a chakravyuh. Okay, so because of this they said that business is like chakravyuh. Chakravyuh, they have taken this word from Mahabharata. Just like in Mahabharata, it was easy to enter and difficult to come out. So in India, doing business has become a chakravyuh. कि it is easy to enter in business but very difficult to come out of business. So even name of that chapter was Chakravyuh challenge. So in which this analysis was made कि Chakravyuh in India doing business has become a Chakravyuh and it is affecting ease of doing business, which is affecting investment and job creation and economic growth. So that is why this challenge has to be, this problem has to be resolved. So this was mentioned. Then government set up one committee. Which committee was set up? So bankruptcy laws reforms commission. So write down name. Bankruptcy laws reforms commission. Bankruptcy laws reforms commission in 2015. Who was chairman? Mr. T.K. Vishwanathan. Bankruptcy Laws Reforms Commission. T.K. Vishwanathan was chairman. He was former law secretary. T.K. Vishwanathan. So Bankruptcy Laws Reforms Commission. This commission said that this existing bankruptcy laws like SICA etc. should be amended and replaced by, some of them should be amended, some replaced by IBC. So separate bankruptcy law should be there. So this IBC was passed on the recommendation of this Vishwanathan committee. So bankruptcy laws reforms commission, and the background I told you, economic survey also this was mentioned, and earlier also there was criticism in economic survey and most of the economists criticized this problem. So this was the background actually, and why it is a landmark actually reform, because it has changed the business environment in the country, especially exit problem actually and resource held up, and sick companies or defaulting companies, were given refuge earlier by BIFR. That problem will be resolved because this has to be done in a very professional manner. A company will not be revived by existing management. Company will be revived by a professional. Apart from that, there will be a separate supervisor or regulator for that. The process will be supervised separately, separate court, separate appellate tribunal, because appeal was there in normal courts earlier against the decision, so it was very long drawn process. That is why the time period has reduced so much. So I think it is clear. So this is just the broad background of this act. And objective, you can see this early identification of stress, because earlier we were identifying late, which was creating problem. The objective is to overcome the problems, and most of these problems have almost overcome, but still NPA is a major problem, so it is still not fully resolved. So but anyhow, IBC was quite effective in reducing that problem, but still we cannot say it has resolved the problem and it will resolve. Maybe we need to set up a bad bank. Now what is the process of insolvency resolution under IBC? So I will discuss first structure and then what are institutions are there, and then I will take up this. So I think we shall have a break, 5 minutes break, we will continue. Okay, so Ashutosh, your doubt we are saying companies were given refuge under BIFR. What exactly it meant? Okay, so companies were given refuge means if a company became sick, it will be registered with BIFR, and BIFR will take the decision finally. So BIFR usually decide to revive the company, and till it is under revival process, maybe 2, 3, 4 years, a bank cannot go to any other court until BIFR will give a decision either on revival or on liquidation, and usually it was revival. So bank cannot go to any other court because this is also a judicial authority. So matter is sub judice. So bank cannot go to other court. So that is why bank, sick companies, and which were mainly managed by maybe incompetent or corrupt people, they were actually given the protection, legal protection. Bank cannot go to other court to sell the property of those company, because BIFR will take the decision and when company will be sold. And when BIFR realized now company cannot be revived after 3-4 years, then it gave a decision to sell. And when company was sold, nothing was left. So ultimate losers were banks, and other stakeholders got nothing, like workers or the suppliers, whatever their payment was held up by company. So this was the main problem. So IBC actually will resolve all of these problems. So that is why IBC is a landmark reform, because it has changed the ease of doing business in the country, resolved by and large exit problem. You can see time period has reduced to less than 1 year now, and even NPA recovery was much better. So I will discuss first of all what is the structure of this IBC. what institutions are there, and then I will take up the insolvency resolution process. As I told you, it is based on international best practices. So structure under IBC. So structure or mainly institutions which have been created. So one is that there is a regulator. So write down Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India is established as a regulator, as the regulator of the insolvency resolution process. The regulator of insolvency resolution process, or IRP. So in short you mention IRP, insolvency resolution process. This entire process will be supervised by a regulator, so that there should not be any malpractice. Okay, apart from earlier there was no regulator as such. Okay, so court as well as regulator, all we can say was served by BIFR. Now separate court, separate regulator. Second is insolvency professionals. In bracket IP. So insolvency professionals, comma, members of insolvency professional agencies. Members of insolvency professional agencies, IPA, to be registered with the IBBI. To be registered with the IBBI for insolvency resolution. Okay, for insolvency resolution. So I'll explain that these are actually the experts who has to be registered with, who are members of insolvency professional agency, and these members will be registered with the regulator. And these members will take up the resolution process. Means when I told you once insolvency resolution process will start, they will take over management of the company. So existing management will be replaced, and the professionals will manage. Then who will appoint a professional? IBBI will appoint a particular professional. So professional having some expertise in that particular business will be appointed to manage the company, and they will manage. Company will be managed in a professional manner. Now you may be having doubt still about what is insolvency professional. In very simple word, I repeat again, these are actually professionals. They are having some qualifications which are needed for assessing the viability of business, reviving of business. So technical experts are insolvency professionals. Different experts may be there for different fields, different types of businesses. Okay, and these should be members of IPA, Insolvency Professional Agency. So insolvency professional agencies are there in various countries. So these agencies make rules and regulations, the curriculum, what they should be taught, what information they should have, what kind of technical training they should have, and they in what manner they should be doing, operating. Their code of conduct is decided by IPA. Okay, I'll give you corollary of this. For example, one professional is CA. You must be knowing what is CA. CA means Chartered Accountant. So Chartered Accountant is a professional. Just like Chartered Accountant is a professional, so CA have actually knowledge about accounting, auditing accounts of companies. Okay, IP are what? Just like CA, IP will be our professionals which are having expertise in assessing viability, reviving business. Clear? And just like they are member of a professional agency. What is professional agency for this? So CA are members of what? These are members of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, ICAI. So CA are members of ICAI. So it means that just like what qualification CA should have, so ICAI will decide the curriculum, etc., their code of conduct, etc., and CA have to be registered with ICAI for doing any practice. Clear? So just like for doing practice, they have to be registered with this. Once just like a CA is registered with ICAI, has some particular qualification degree, then they can actually audit accounts of any firm can recruit them. Just similarly, once a professional is having the expertise as per decided by the IPA, then it will be registered with the regulator, and regulator may appoint for reviving a particular business. So just like CA is a professional, insolvency professionals are also professional. The professional agency is ICAI, here IPA. So I think difference may be clear. Okay, Pawan, what you have asked, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. Yes, IBBI, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India is a regulator. Okay, now next is these professionals will be assisted by another, another professionals, another expert, that is mentioned information utilities. Information utilities to be established to collect, collate, collate means verify, collate / verify and analyze insolvency resolution related data. To analyze insolvency resolution related data. So information utilities will collect data, will verify, collate data, verify data and analyze data relating to insolvency resolution. Okay, and these professional agencies, this information utilities, so this will be a entity or a company whose objective is to do R&D in this data, collect, correlate, etc. data and give, analyze, present the report, and these information utility will provide actually consultancy to IP, and IBBI will supervise this thing. So that IBBI will supervise कि IP is taking the decision in correct manner or not. Is it going to the as per the professional advice given by this information utilities or not? So what is difference in IP and this IU? So this is one professional, one person, and this is an institution which will actually analyze data. There will be a lot of experts in this institution which will give broad suggestions कि how decision should be taken in which various things. So it will enable, IU will also enable IBBI to appoint a particular professional for a particular business to selection or IP, and they will give guidance to IP to how they can operate in a professional manner. कि where chance of revival is there or where chance of revival is not there, in what way revival could be done in this business. So this information will be given by them. Okay, so clear कि professional will manage, but this professional will get technical assistance from this institution, information utility, because analysis data etc. will be given. So it will facilitate IP in decision making, and IBBI will supervise कि whether decisions IP is taking the correct proper decisions or not. And third is separate courts have been set up, have been designated, that we can say court, we can say adjudicating authorities. So two adjudicating authorities or courts are there under this. So one adjudicating authority is Debt Recovery Tribunal, DRTs, which we have discussed already, debt recovery tribunals which are there already. And other is, so debt recovery, before this debt recovery tribunal is for whom? To mention for individuals and non-corporates. Non-corporates, for individuals and non-corporates, non-corporate like partnership, proprietorship companies, HUF companies, individual and non-corporate, because, and other is NCLT. NCLT stands for National Company Law Tribunal. National Company Law Tribunal. National Company Law Tribunal for corporates. So for corporates. So why separate courts are there for corporates and non-corporates? The reason is that the legal provisions are very different for corporate and non-corporate. Corporate is a legal artificial person. corporate is also a person. Corporate can be sued, it can sue other people, and here the company and owner is same here. So that is why different actually codes are there for them. NCLT, it should be clear, was already established under Companies Act of 2013. So even these committees, as I told you, like especially IRADI committee gives suggestion that separate tribunal should be there to tackle industrial sickness. NCLT should be established. So then government actually on recommendation of IRADI committee, government set up NCLT. But initially government planned to set up NCLT by amending the Companies Act, but later actually there was some legal issue in that. But finally it was established under Companies Act 2013. Okay, although government tried to establish earlier, but then there was some issue with the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said some provisions are not correct in that. So then finally NCLT established as per Companies Act 2013. Although this act is passed in 2016. And DRTs we have discussed established in 90s, Debt Recovery Tribunal. So separate court should be there. The next thing is that the court may give decision, then that appeal may go to normal courts, then it will take long time. So separate appellate tribunal have been established. So other is appellate tribunal. So name of appellate tribunal is NCLAT. NCLAT. So decisions of these courts may be appealed in NCLAT. So difference is that only A we have added here, NCL and appellate tribunal. Okay, in NCLT just appellate we have added, NCL appellate tribunal. So appellate tribunal have been established. Now what do you think? The decisions of appellate tribunal should be challenged in which court? In district court, high court, or Supreme Court? On the basis of common sense, or cannot be challenged. So decisions of NCLAT. So decision of these courts should be challenged in NCLAT, and decision of NCLAT will be challenged in which court? District court or high court or Supreme Court, or in no court, no challenge. So answer is obviously here Supreme Court, because if it will be challenged in high court, just like earlier decisions of this were challenged in high court BIFR. So again high court means it will take at least 1-2 years. So it will a long drawn process. So answer is Supreme Court here. The challenge will be challenged in Supreme Court. We cannot say cannot be challenged. It is wrong to say cannot be challenged. Why? Because if cannot be challenged, then it will reduce the scope of legal recourse. The decisions may not be correct, so at least it should be given to challenge. So in Supreme Court, but as you know, Supreme Court, every decision cannot go to Supreme Court. So in some cases it will be final here. In some cases Supreme Court can hear the decision. Object is to make the process fast and time bound. Okay, so this is the broad institutions and structure under this act. Now how is the process? So now I will discuss insolvency resolution process. Now next you may put heading insolvency resolution process. Insolvency resolution process, IRP. Now first point is that who can initiate the IRP? So answer is that any stakeholder can initiate IRP. So mention that IRP can be initiated by any stakeholder. Any stakeholder, that is it can be initiated by financial creditors or operational creditors, creditors in case of default, or by the management slash directors of the company themselves. Now who can actually initiate the IRP? Any stakeholder. So mainly in case of default, financial creditors or operational creditors, or the company management of company itself may decide that our company is non-viable, please take any legal recourse, shut it and remove, means pay the liabilities. So anybody can or any stakeholder can initiate the process. Now first of all, when we say creditor, we mean financial creditor. Who are financial creditors? Obviously banks and financial institutions. So financial creditor, very simple, कि bank etc. So when we say creditor, we mean financial creditor. But in this act, one term is used, that is operational creditor. So who are operational creditors? Any idea? Who are operational creditors? To write down examples of operational creditors. So operational creditors are suppliers of inputs, okay, or raw material, etc. So supplier of input, if a company will not make payment to suppliers, then supplier may initiate this process. Other is workers, suppliers of raw material. Other are workers of the company. So workers are operational creditors. Apart from that, home buyers. So home buyers means if you buy a house and the builder or construction company will not hand over on time, any problem, then you can initiate IRP against this, insolvency resolution process against that. It was added in 2018, since 2018. So government made amendment in 2018 and home buyers were also included in this operational creditors. Okay, so I repeat once more, who can initiate IRP? Any stakeholder like financial creditor like banks and financial institutions, and operational creditors like suppliers of raw material, workers of company, home buyers, etc. are operational creditors. So in operations, whatever any person who is having claim on the company can issue IRP, and even the management of company itself, board of directors may take a decision to to start insolvency resolution process. Okay. Now who will initiate the process? What do you think on the basis of common sense? Who will say it should be started? So regulator or this court? Who will decide that IRP shall be initiated or not? Let us suppose the salary of workers are not given. So worker may go to whom they will go to, court or IBBI, regulator? So answer, obviously the decision will be taken by only court. Okay, so court can initiate IRP. So that is adjudicating authority. So if any means of these stakeholder, if there is default on these payment, then they can actually initiate IRP. So IRP will be initiated by the adjudicating authority in after receiving an application from any stakeholder. Okay, to mention this thing, to rather mention this, once the IRP is initiated by the adjudicating authority, once the IRP is initiated by the adjudicating authority, comma, the regulator in bracket IBBI, the IBBI regulator in bracket IBBI has to appoint an appropriate insolvency professional, IP. Once the IRP is initiated, the regulator in bracket IBBI has to appoint an appropriate insolvency professional. An appropriate insolvency professional. So then what will happen? IRP will initiate by court, then IBBI will appoint a IP. Okay, and IP will take over management and prepare a revival package. So next point mention, the IP. Okay, the IP will take over, means IP means whichever appointed by IBBI. The IP will take over management of the company. The IP will take over management of the company and prepare a revival package. And prepare a revival package. Now, what do you think? Who should approve the revival package? who should approve the revival package? Like it is approved by the mainly by financial creditors or this IBBI or the court? Give me answer. Who will approve this? The creditors or the regulator or the court? Who will approve the this revival package? So IP will take over the management and will prepare revival package, and whatever revival package is prepared, who should approve the revival package? So next point you mentioned. So answer is obviously whose money will be there in that company. The obviously main is financial creditors. Okay, so most of you are correct here. No, it will not be approved by this, because who are the actual stakeholders? The mainly financial creditors. And financial creditors representing 75% of the total credit. Okay, to mention this next point, the revival package should be approved by the credit committee. By the credit committee, in bracket consisting of at least 75%. Consisting of at least 75% of the creditors by value. (75% of the creditors by value). 75% of the creditors by value. In bracket mention reduce to 66%. Reduce to 66% for major decisions and 51%. 66% for major decisions and 51% for minor decisions in 2018. So in 2018 this act was amended in 2018 or 2018 amendment. So in bracket mention this thing. So bracket close. So reduce to 66% for major decisions and comma 51% for minor decisions in 2018 bracket close. Okay, so this whatever revival package is prepared with, in what manner company should be revived, so that has to be approved by 75% creditors, but now it is reduced to 66. The most important is 66 now. Okay, so it was originally 675, then in 2018's amendment it was reduced to 66 for major decisions. Okay, even minor decisions have to be taken. So minor decisions are not so important, but major decisions 66%, so earlier 75%. Okay. And this has to be approved within how many time? Within a time frame. After bracket write down comma, after bracket means within 180 days. Within 180 days. So this credit committee within 180 days from the initiation of IRP. From the initiation of IRP. Within 180 days. And also mention it may be extended by 90 days. Okay, in the same point mention this, it may be extended by 90 days. If court want, so it may be extended by 90 days by the adjudicating authority. So it may be 180 days, maybe plus 90, so about 270 days. So 180, if court want, court may give some more time. Okay, so and it has to be approved by 66% now creditors within 180 days, and if court may want, may increase to 90 days more, 3 months more may be added. But if it is not approved within this stipulated time, means 180 or maybe 180 plus 90, 270, 180 or 270 days, then finally company will be sold off. And then next point in this, E point, in case the revival package is not approved by the credit committee within the stipulated time, stipulated time may be 180 or 270 within the stipulated time. the company will be liquidated. The company will be liquidated. Okay, means court will give order then finally. So if revival package is not accepted, it has to be prepared and accepted within this time frame, and if it is not done, then company will be liquidated. Then court has to give an order to sell the assets of company and meet the claims of creditors. So clear? And other thing is that once company will be sold, then earlier the workers claim was not actually met. So worker got nothing because even bank did not get full amount. So here the claim of workers have been have been put almost at par with creditors. So mention this thing also, one more point. The claim of workers unpaid salaries, the claim of workers unpaid salaries has been put at par with the claims of creditors. Has been put at par with the claims of creditors. But there are different types of creditors: secured creditors, unsecured creditors, or subordinate debt. So it is actually somewhere between the secured and unsecured creditors, means at par with creditors in general we can say, means close to creditors. Okay, it is slightly below some creditors and slightly above some creditors, so at par almost with creditors. So worker salary will be protected now. Worker salary up to 2 years, if they remain unpaid for even up to 2 years, will be paid back, and even the money of PF etc. account will not be touched, will remain for employees only. So it seeks to protect interest of employees especially, because earlier they were the worst sufferers, and so earlier focus was only on banks, and not only workers but also these suppliers etc. So there is a precedence of claim how money will be distributed when assets will be sold. Okay, so this is the process under IRP, the process under this IBC. Now what is the advantage of this? As we discussed how this happened, why situation has improved. The answer you can see here, why these advantages happened, because this resolution process has to be completed within a given time frame, means 180 days or extended to 90 days, and later in amendment government increased to 330 days, means that is even this is within 1 year. So so that this should not process should not keep on lingering. Okay, so that is why you can see period reduced to less than 1 year actually. And because of this professional approach, there is no scope of asset stripping, because the management actually was managing company earlier. Now here professionals will manage company, so chance of actually revival will be much more. And here we are identifying the sickness at early stage, because even in one default, because if a company will not immediately will become insolvent as per the first definition, asset less than liability, company usually start incurring some kind of default, and then it is much later situation. So it will identify sickness at early stage so that revival package could be successful. The chance of why success is much more here. Why? Because one is that early identification, other is in a professional manner and with advice of some analysis, research of information utilities advice, and proper actually a regulator to supervise this process of to supervise the process of the entire process, so that there should not be any kind of corruption etc. So that is why all these problems actually exit has become easier, and these problems now it is one landmark you can say step which will enable bank to recover NPA. And as I told you, there has been reduction in NPAs after in 2018 and 19, mainly because of this IBC. Okay, because earlier schemes were relatively not much successful, but although the situation is going to further expected to somewhat deteriorate because of COVID. So it is to be seen to what extent IBC can resolve this problem. Just Divya, what you mentioned, the claims of workers unpaid salaries have been put at par with claims of creditors. Yes, so creditors are of different types, so almost at par with that. Clear? So they are somewhere between secured and unsecured creditors. So almost at par we can say, because I am writing creditor here, not any specific creditor. So it is correct to say at par with creditors. Okay, Ashutosh, do appeals from DRT also go to NCLAT? No, NCLAT is there. So appeal may be here and here, so there should not be separate appellate authority for this, separate for this. Appellate authority may be same here, is same. Okay, so this is the structure, and some amendments were made because government is supervising this implementation of this act, and whatever issues are there, those are rectified. Then government every year is making amendment in this act. Then this IBC, Amendment Act 2017. Okay, so government is monitoring this implementation. Whatever issues, practical issues are there, government is rectifying those issues. So one major change was made in 2017. So major change, what was major change? Acha Tushar, you asked last point. Last point is that workers' claim is almost at par with creditors. It is somewhere between secured and secured creditors. Okay, almost at par with creditors. So it means that workers' salary will also be paid now here. So earlier workers actually usually did not got anything. This was the one problem to all stakeholders, and not only workers, the claims of suppliers, etc., and even they can initiate the IRP. But although it may be initiated by them, but finally approval will be given by financial creditors, the credit committee. Okay, now amendment. The main amendment is that the management of company was this amendment restricted the management of committee and willful defaulters, etc., from proposing a resolution plan and to purchase their company in auction. To mention this point rather, the management of the company under IRP, the management of the company, willful defaulters, disqualified directors, etc., are prohibited, or were prohibited to suggest a resolution plan, and to purchase assets of the company, company under liquidation, assets of the company under liquidation. Okay, so I repeat once more, management of the company under IRP or disqualified directors or willful defaulters, etc., they are actually prohibited to give suggestion on resolution plan, in what manner company should be revived. So it will be decided by IP only. Okay, so they will not give suggestion, one thing, these people. Second thing is that if company will be finally sold, for example, then they cannot buy. These people cannot buy their assets. So why they are not allowed to buy? What is the main reason why government made this assumption? Because whatever is existing management, they will be replaced, and when their company will be sold, they cannot buy their own company in auction, even by putting higher bid. For example, the total NPA, the total loan on a company is 100 crore NPA. Let us suppose 100 crore. The bank's claim is 100 crore. So these owners of this company cannot buy in auction. Okay, in auction it may be sold in 100 crore more or less. So usually will be in less. So they cannot actually buy their own company. Now the question is that why they cannot buy their own company? The reason is that, for example, if there is a company on which the loan is total loan is 100 crore or 100 crore of loan is there. So what the company can do, what management can do, management can actually they default on bank loan. Okay, if bank what company can do, if there is a loan of 100 crore, so management may willingly stop paying EMI. Okay, and loan will become NPA, and when bank will consult them why you are not paying EMI, they may say our business has failed and it has become non-viable, and now we don't have money to pay you. We will not pay. We cannot pay EMI. Now whatever you want, legal action you can take. We will support you, rather we will cooperate with you. So you can go to high court. So what bank will do? When bank management, the company's management is saying our business failed, we have nothing to pay and we cannot pay you any EMI now or in future, and you can go to court, we are ready to cooperate. Okay, so what bank will do? Obviously bank will go to court under IBC. So bank will go to this court for initiating IBC to sell the property and recover its money. Okay, so bank will go to court, and then in the worst case, court will give an order to sell property. Okay, once property of this company will be sold, and once property will be auctioned, so do you think people will get 100 crore if the bank's claim is 100 crore and company is now auctioned, and auction means if those people who will buy, they will be paying 100 crore more or less? Can you give me answer? They will be the people who will buy this company which is sold in auction. The loan or claims on this company is 100 crore. Will they pay more or less? The answer obviously is they will pay much less. Even if assets may be more than 100 crore, they will not pay even 100 crore. It should be clear. Why? Because those people know that this company has, they must be knowing this thing, that company has become already non-viable. So they are buying, so this company may be or may not be revived. So risk will be very high. And in the worst case, they have to sell the assets of this company in scrap. And if they will sell in scrap, they will lose heavily. So they will get much lesser value. Let us suppose the highest bid is 60 crore. So let us suppose 60 crore is the highest bid. So what they will do, owners may put 60 crore or 60 crore rupee, 1 rupee, they can buy their own company. Okay. Now, although actual value of assets may be much more than 100 crore, but when company will be auctioned, it is sure that they will not get even 100 crore. So the owners of a company, they can pay 60 crore and buy their own company. So you can see what owners did. They actually reduced the loan of 100 crore of bank to 60 crore only. If they pay 60 crore rupee, buy the assets, they are free from loan. So this kind of manipulation could be there by the owners. So there is possibility that this law could be misused by the owners. So I repeat once more why this amendment was done. This amendment was done because the owners, some corrupt management of the company might have manipulated. The company may be good, may be viable, may have significant assets, but they might have actually, to reduce the amount of loan, they might have stopped paying EMI and asked bank, we can't pay you further an EMI and you can go to court. Nothing is left in our company. Although the company may be good and viable, may have much assets. So what they want, bank should go to court and let the company sell. And when company will be sold, they will buy in maybe much lesser than 60 crore, 50 crore, they will buy their company, and then actually they can get rid of this 100 crore by paying this much amount of money. So this kind of malpractice was possible. So to prevent this thing, actually government did this. So I think it is clear. Okay, these people are prohibited to suggest a resolution plan and to purchase assets. Okay, it is mentioned in notes also. Please try to write. I dictated already and it is mentioned in notes also. So you may go through in printed notes also I have shared with you. So this it could be a malpractice to overcome this problem, like willful defaulters, disqualified directors, some people and company whose NPA is already it is having its own NPA, so it cannot buy this company. So some people debarred. Clear? Apart from that, in 2018 then amendment was made. So two major changes I told you already. Home buyers included in operational creditors in 2018, and second, in 2018 this now 66% creditors should say yes. So for approving the resolution plan, if 66% will say yes, then resolution plan will be implemented. Company will not be sold. Earlier 75% must say yes. Then in 2019 government made amendment. Government said that total time period should be 330 days. So means 180 plus 90. 270 there, but there are some hurdles in legal time period, in actually litigations may be wasted. So government said within 330 day framework from the day of application till 330 day, company should be it should be revived, otherwise it should be sold off. Then that amendment was turned down by Supreme Court. Supreme Court said no. Adjudicating authority should have this power to extend it even beyond this time, beyond even 330 days. So time period should not be so rigid, because if the time period may be so rigid, company may be viable, may be revived, but once time period is over, the court has to give order to sell. So court should not be compelled to give order to sell immediately, even after this time frame. So this relaxation is given by the Supreme Court. Like Supreme Court said that the time limit should not be so rigid. because there is a lot of time which is wasted in even legal procedural hurdles also. So in this case, a viable company whose within that time the revival package may not be finalized, then may be sold. So these were some other amendments which I have shared in notes also. This is one important amendment. Now overall analysis of this act. So I told you already that this act is supposed to be very important reform measure of the government. And why very important reform measure? Benefits are all these problems will be resolved. Okay, so time insolvency resolution time period has already reduced from 4.3 years to less than 1 year now. Okay, and even NPA reduced, and this all of these advantages I told you already. And so about 13 acts were amended, including SICA was amended by IBC. SICA is still there but is amended, and some acts, 2 acts were abolished, which were there. So Presidency Towns Insolvency Act of 1920 was there, one more act of at that time. Those 2 acts abandoned, and 11 acts actually have been amended, like this act, SURFACE Act, and some other acts have been amended. So this is the landmark act. Now what is criticism of this act? So criticism of this act is that it is criticized that this act is highly biased in favor of creditors, and especially after this amendment it has further become biased in favor of creditors. So do you agree with this, yes or no? So is it really biased in favor of creditors? Because critics say that even if company may not be insolvent, if somehow company fail to pay few EMI, bank can go to court, or company fail to pay there may be delay in payment of suppliers, then they may go to court, and bank management may may lose, the management of company will lose everything. They will be replaced from management, their company will be sold, even they can't buy their company. And maybe they have better position, they can put a better bid, higher bid, so but they will be debarred from buying company. So can we say it is biased in favor of creditors, yes or no? So answer obviously is yes. So this is biased in favor of creditors, and especially this has become much more biased towards creditors, especially after this amendment. The negative impact is that entrepreneurship may be affected. So negative impact is that entrepreneurship may be affected. Why? Entrepreneurship affected, investment may be affected. Why? Because if anybody is doing business in India, on minor default, company can, IBC may be initiated and company may be sold off. Although assets of company may be much more, so owners will lose heavily. Let us suppose the loan NPA loan on a company is 100 crore, but assets may be 150 crore. So assets are much more than the liabilities. So that is owner's money. But if in business the revenue may reduce, if revenue will reduce, the payment may be held up. So if company may not be able to make payment, then company may be sold. And when assets will be auctioned, then if the assets actually be 150 crore, then nobody will pay 150 crore. So people will pay much lesser than that. So ultimately owners will lose everything there in minor default. In business, ups and downs are there. So this is the main problem. This is biased in favor of creditors. Clear? And especially this amendment has further increased its biasness towards creditors. Even this criticism was there before this amendment. After this amendment, this criticism further actually increased, further became more effective. Second thing is that this amendment has increased biasness or reduced biasness towards creditors. What do you think? I for increase, D for decrease. This amendment, 75 to 66% creditors should say yes, then revival will start. So this has increased or decreased biasness towards creditors? So answer is, it has somewhat reduced biasness. Because earlier 75% should say yes, only then company will not be sold. Now even if 66 will say yes, so it has somewhat reduced biasness towards creditors. So answer is decreased biasness towards creditors. Now the next question is that, do you think biasness towards creditors, is it correct, reasonable or not? So what I think, yes, right now we need a law which should be biased towards creditors, so that creditors should be given some support, some bailout like. So got the point here? Right now the environment is that creditors need some support. Got the point? So banks are in much trouble, NPAs are too high, and there is significant risk. And in economic survey 4-5 years back, it was mentioned that at this level of NPA, in other countries there used to be crisis. In India, we have saved from crisis because most of the NPAs are in public sector bank. And public sector banks have some implicit guarantee of government. So because of its government's backing, we are away from crisis, otherwise there could be crisis. So situation is not obviously good. So that is why we need some kind of biasness, some kind of support we have to give to the creditors. And in the past, the creditors were much losers actually in India, and because of that, even interest rates increased, profitability of financial institutions affected, capital formation was affected. So yes, certainly we need some minor somewhat biasness towards creditors. Although I think in future this biasness may be corrected. So I think it is clear. And apart from that, so overall in economic survey it was mentioned that there has been significant improvement, but as per recent data of IBBI shows that initially it was successful when RBI gave decision go to court within 180 days. But as per recent data it shows that recovery is now reducing under IBC. So it is a matter of concern. So if we see the recent report of IBBI, so recovery earlier was actually about 45%, more than 40% recovery rate. Means whatever cases went under this IBBI, so in last year's economic survey it was mentioned about 45% recovery on an average. But as per recent data of IBI, it shows that now the recovery has reduced to about 21%. So recovery has somewhat reduced. Means whatever cases gone under IBC, so recovery has been much lesser. So this has created one matter of concern. One thing. Second thing is that because of COVID, now NPAs are going to increase because moratorium period ended in August. Then in September, October, November, December, now those companies which fail to pay EMI for 3 months, then they will become NPA. So NPA may increase actually in future. And since recovery rate somewhat reduced here, so that is why it is again a question mark whether it will be able to resolve the problem or not. And finally, either IBC will help in improving the situation, otherwise the last resort option will be bad bank, so which we have discussed already. Okay, so this is, I have discussed in much detail some background because, and this is usually, as I told you, I study in industrial sickness in industrial sector, but it is very much related with banking. That is why I have discussed it here. Okay, Satyabrata, your question, why the company will be sold when the management of company says company is not viable? Satyabrata, why the company will be sold when the management of company says company is not viable? IP had taken over the management and they can revive the company. Maybe, yes. So in this case, like in this situation, management may say company is non-viable, but yes, it is correct. Management will be taken over by IP and IP may try to revive that. It may be possible. But in that case, even if company will be revived, so ultimately company will be revived, and when company will start paying EMI, management will be returned back to the owners. Owner will get back their company. It should be clear. So management will be taken over from the management and will be given to IP till the process of revival. Once company will be revived, then IP will be out. The management will be replaced. And if company will be sold, then owners can't do anything then. The owners cannot even buy here. So I think it is clear. Yes, you are correct here. Owners actually will not have the full control over that. Once this process will start, IP will take over management, company may revive. But if the company is revived, then owners will get back the company. And if it is sold, they can buy at throwaway prices, at much lower prices. So ultimate losers will be banks and financial institutions. Okay, so this is all in this chapter in banking. The main issue is actually NPA. Now next topic related with banking is financial inclusion. Okay, now in finance sector, next topic is financial inclusion, means providing financial services to poor people, and related topics are with financial inclusion. Related topic is like cashless economy, then demonetization, black money, money laundering. These are somewhat interrelated topics. So these topics I will discuss in next module. So now next module is financial inclusion. And cashless economy. Financial inclusion and cashless economy. So I have shared study material on this topic. So it is relatively simple. So I'll be dictating selectively here. So Divyansh, what you have mentioned, these malpractices of owners is still happening to get rid of loans after amendment. No, owners can do malpractice, but once IRP will start, owner will be completely out. So owner cannot actually buy their own company in auction. So owner, it could be manipulated कि owner could have bought their own company at lower price. So now they cannot buy their own company. And owners will be out. Once IRP will start, then management will be taken over. And if company will be sold, then owners will be completely out. They cannot buy their own company. Okay, now next, as I told you, I have put heading financial inclusion and cashless economy, but related topics like demonetization is related with cashless economy. Black money is also related because one of the objective of demonetization and cashless economy is to check black money and money laundering. These are some related topics. So I will discuss these briefly, cryptocurrencies also. Okay, so I will start with financial inclusion. So this is very simple topic, financial inclusion. So financial inclusion I have already told you earlier, so just write down simple definition of financial inclusion. To mention that it refers to the process of providing various types of financial services. Process of providing various types of financial services to vulnerable sections, slash all sections of society, vulnerable sections slash all sections of society, vulnerable sections slash all sections of society through institutional sources at affordable cost. Okay, so I repeat what I have dictated. It refers to provision of various types of financial services. So various types of financial services means not only bank account, okay, and it should be like poor people should get insurance, they should get pension, they should get fund transfer facility. So they should get all types of financial services, bank account, bank credit, various services to vulnerable sections or all sections. Here when we say all section, mainly focus is on vulnerable sections, like those people who are left out, focus on the poor people who are in rural areas, far-flung areas, those are vulnerable sections. But it is not just providing financial services, it is providing financial services to all people, especially poor people, through what? Through institutional sources, not through sahukars. Got the point? So financial inclusion means providing financial services through institutional sources, not through sahukars, etc. and at affordable charges. Because sometimes the bank's products are not very affordable for poor people. So if they want to open a bank account, some minimum balance, so poor people can't maintain that minimum balance. So similarly the insurance, if they want to buy insurance, so minimum premium may be too high, may not be affordable for poor people. So product should be given by institutional sources and at affordable prices so that they can easily buy. So that is actually meaning of financial inclusion. Now financial inclusion is very important for achieving inclusive growth. So why it is important? Can you tell me the reason? Can you give me suggestions how financial inclusion, what are advantages of financial inclusion? How it will help in achieving inclusive growth? So financial inclusion actually, can you give me examples? Can you give me example first how it will create jobs, employment generation? So it is crucial for inclusive growth. So financial inclusion actually is very important, is crucial to convert our economic growth into inclusive growth. Now how? Okay, so Jaidev, you have mentioned capital formation. So okay, yes, you are correct. Investment will be promoted. Pawan, you have mentioned. So how to mention saving will be promoted. So first point, mention this thing. Okay, boost. Okay, to mention finance to MSMEs. Okay, so first point you mentioned तो financial inclusion will to mention that it will enable mobilization of savings of vulnerable sections for investment. Okay, investment slash rather mention capital formation, for capital formation. Okay, so savings will be mobilized for capital formation. So you know capital formation will promote growth. As we discussed already, more jobs will be created, more growth and job will increase. By this we have discussed already. But now, do you think the poor people can save much? So practically significant or not? So answer is practically significant. Why? Reason is that yes, it is true, poor people don't save much, but the answer question is that poor people don't save much, that is okay, but poor people are not small. Number of poor people is too big in India. Got the point? So poor people are in large numbers. If lot of people will save a small amount, then amount will be significant. Clear? Okay, so next point, how they help in job creation. So mention this thing. Second point, microcredit promotes self-employment and entrepreneurship development. So very important thing is that microcredit, just like SHG bank linkage scheme, where groups are giving training and finance so that they can do their business. So you can see microcredit will actually help in establishing small units, self-employment and entrepreneurship development. For example, if some people are unemployed, so if bank will give them loan, they can do some business. Okay, so microcredit will create directly jobs, which are very important for inclusive growth. Okay, so most of you have given answer. So apart from that, like Deol, you have mentioned financial literacy will also improve, but financial literacy is not direct advantage. It is a means, not the overall advantage. Other is that bank account will help this, microcredit will help in this. The advantage of this credit is one more advantage. If bank will be giving this, institution sources will be giving loans to poor people, so poor people will be protected from the clutches of usurious money lenders. So mention that, protect poor people from clutches of usurious money lenders. Usurious money lenders. Usuri means charging very high interest. So usurious money lenders. So usurious money lenders means the money lenders who charge very high interest. So some sahukars are infamous. Once anybody will borrow, they will charge so much interest that the borrower can never pay back that interest. Next, got the point? This credit will help this. Apart from that, bank account will promote savings. Second, bank account will also protect them from Ponzi schemes. To mention this thing also, protection of vulnerable sections from Ponzi schemes. So why poor people are more prone to be trapped by Ponzi scheme? Because they usually don't have much idea and access to banks. So if they have money, they think, okay, it is better to give it to this scheme so that money may be doubled in some time. But if people will have idea about banks, so they will also have some doubt. If bank is giving 10% interest in 1 year, how they can give more than 100% interest in within 1 year? So chance they will know about financial products, so their likelihood of being cheated will reduce. So they will be protected from this Ponzi schemes. Yes, Pawan, you have mentioned reduce corruption through DBT. Yes. So next is that this financial inclusion, to mention that it will enable it will enable implementation of direct benefit transfer, DBT. Direct benefit transfer. Enable implementation of direct benefit transfer, DBT, which will reduce corruption and leakages, in developmental programs. Okay, in developmental programs, so there are significant leakages. So DBT can reduce the leakages, but DBT cannot be implemented without financial inclusion. Until unless poor people have bank account, DBT cannot be implemented. So it will enable, so effectiveness of government's developmental program will increase, and hence, and so inequalities will reduce. Clear? Other is, other financial product is like pension and insurance. So the next point is that micro insurance will protect vulnerable sections from various contingencies. Okay, micro insurance will protect vulnerable sections from various contingencies. Contingencies like accident, okay, or accident or risk of means accident or death, etc. Means family will be protected against after death. Means if a person will die, the family will get some financial support. And also in the same point you mentioned कि micro pension will provide old age support. So if micro pension could be there, so people who will buy pension scheme, so after in old age they will get some pension, so they will be self-dependent. So they will be less vulnerable to, sometimes aged people are very vulnerable. They don't have any income, so they may not be able to buy necessities, medicines or even food. So vulnerability of age-old vulnerability will reduce. So insurance and pension will reduce various vulnerabilities. Apart from that, any other advantage? Even women empowerment. So just like in financial schemes, women are there is some reservation for women. So mention this women empowerment through women SHGs, women self-help groups. So women empowerment through women self-help groups. So women empowerment through women self-help groups. So women self-help groups, especially that is related with microcredit. So in various credit schemes, there is reservation for women. So it can help in empowering women also. So in view of these advantages, can we say, is it not important for achieving inclusive growth? So answer obviously is yes, because production employment will increase directly, poor people will get job, they will be protected against vulnerabilities. And like we say insurance, so who needs more protection? Who is in more need of protection, rich people or poor people? So answer obviously is more vulnerable are poor people, because rich people, even if they get sick, etc., so they can afford medical expenses. If they will die, their family have assets to survive, but poor people don't have this. So who need more this kind of insurance and pension? The poor people need more, and they are more vulnerable. So so that is why financial inclusion is very important to convert inclusive growth in to achieve this inclusive growth. Now next is very simple. What are constraints, problems or constraints in financial inclusion? So problems are very simple. So problems are like complex documentation, because when you go to when poor people will go to bank for opening bank account, they will say give your address proof, ID proof, and this document, that document, and for credit give this bank statement and other things. So if poor person may not have those documents, so they are not very affordable, they are not very practically feasible for poor people to avail such services. So one is complex documentation. Other is lack of financial literacy. Poor people don't have much idea about these what requirements are there, so they are reluctant to go to banks in general. So poor people are reluctant to go to banks, lack of financial literacy. And even one reason for reluctance is that the attitude of bank staff. So usually the financial institutions, they are not very cordial to poor people. So indifferent attitude, even this is also one practically very important problem. Indifferent attitude. Indifferent attitude of institutional FIs, of institutional financial institutions like banks towards weaker sections. Okay, usually they don't properly entertain them because the bank thing, especially in private sector bank, they don't want to serve poor people. They think they are not going to yield any income for us. So indifferent attitude. Other thing is that lack of financial infrastructure. Lack of financial infrastructure. So lack of financial infrastructure. Financial infrastructure means we can say the outreach is limited outreach. So limited outreach, especially in rural areas. So mention this limited outreach of banks, etc. in rural areas. So because bank branches are not there and insurance companies are not there in rural areas, not enough. And even in urban area, if we compare, in India, if we see in one bank branch serving how many people, they are much more in India. So one bank branch, one ATM serving how many people. So still financial infrastructure is much actually deficient as compared to the population, and especially in rural areas. So problem is that if the bank may be there but 5 kilometers away in the city, so it will not be very comfortable for people to operate the bank account. So distance, it will create distance. Apart from that, other problem is that the financial products are not affordable to poor people. So unaffordable financial products. Unaffordable financial products. So for example is minimum balance for account. Example, minimum premium may be quite high, which may not be affordable for poor person for insurance. So products are somewhat expensive because usually banks design the product for middle class or upper middle class rather than the lower class. So this is another problem. Other problem is that lack of pull factors. Lack of pull factors or / we can say demand. Lack of demand for such services. Why poor people don't want to open bank account? If let us suppose they don't have much money, so what is the use of opening bank account? If a poor person don't have much money, so person may open account in 3, 4, 10 banks. So what is use of that? So I think it is clear. So this lack of pull factors actually is one important reason. Pull factors also because of indifferent attitude also of the bank staff towards poor people, and the main reason is that if let us suppose just think of yourself, if you don't have much money, so would it be of any use? You may open account in 5, 6 banks. So if you don't have money, so what is use of opening account? So this is one very important problem. But this problem was rectified after Jan Dhan Yojana. Why? Why Jan Dhan Yojana was so successful? Why so many bank accounts actually were opened? So the main reason is that Jan Dhan Yojana removed these problems. Why? Because in Jan Dhan Yojana, when government launched Jan Dhan Yojana in 2014, at the same time government was implementing DBT also. Got the point? So poor people thought that if we open a zero balance account, so one restraint was the minimum balance, so zero balance account when we open, so what will happen? Even if we don't have money to keep, so government will transfer money in that account. So people opened that account especially for DBT. And was it true? The answer is yes, because in most of these accounts actually people just open an account, they did not deposit money. So there was that criticism that although Jan Dhan Yojana has open accounts, but people actually are not doing any transaction in that. So unnecessary cost of bank have increased. And that was true because that people open account for getting money from government under DBT rather than actually using that account. So clear? So these are the problems actually which are faced in financial inclusion. Okay, those and other pull factors were also there in Jan Dhan, like free insurance will be given, some overdraft facility will be given. Overdraft means you can overdraw. Overdraw means you can borrow up to certain limit, about 5,000. Recently government increased up to 10,000 in these accounts. So these are the problems. And then finally now we'll discuss the measures. So a lot of measures were initiated by government to promote financial inclusion. So we will discuss government/RBI measures. So government/RBI measures. So first of all I will discuss measures in pre-reform era. Okay, just for so I have divided in notes also, I have divided these measures in various categories. Like first I will discuss in pre-reform era before 1991. Although all of these measures are still going on, they are still relevant. Okay, but initiated earlier, but it's still going on. Then in post-reform era, lot of measures were taken. Then in post-reform era, I will divide in various categories, like for bank account, for insurance, for pension, for means different for credit, in different categories. I will divide. But here, first of all, I have discussed already some important measures in pre-reform era. One very important measure we have discussed already is nationalization of banks. Nationalization of, I will say rather, FIs. Like banks were nationalized in 1969, then 1980, but even LIC was nationalized, okay, in 1956, then GIC in 1972. To nationalization we have discussed already. Other one very important policy we have discussed already, PSL, Priority Sector Lending Policy. So we have discussed already priority sector lending policy. Okay, and after nationalization, government started one very important scheme for financial inclusion. Which was that scheme? That was asked in prelims also, that is lead bank scheme. Lead bank scheme in 1969. So just after nationalization, government started lead bank scheme. So what is lead bank scheme? So just mention कि in every district a bank was designated as lead bank to promote financial inclusion. A bank was designated as lead bank to promote financial inclusion. So very simple, in every district a bank. Now a bank means public or private sector or any bank. So I have used the word a bank. So it may be private or public sector, it should be clear. So lead bank may be private sector also. Let us suppose this is one district, and in this district a particular bank may be private or may be government, any bank may be designated as lead bank. Okay, and obviously which bank should be lead bank in most of the districts now? And earlier also obviously SBI. Okay, so SBI is lead bank in most of the district, but apart from that there are private banks also lead bank, like somewhere ICICI bank, somewhere other HDFC bank. Okay, so different lead banks have been designated as lead bank. Now what will be role of lead bank? The role of lead bank is that it will coordinate activities of other financial institutions in this area, in this district. Okay, it will coordinate, it will see the problems, and then it will be reporting to NABARD. Initially it was reporting to RBI, now it will be reporting to NABARD. It will give ground realities to NABARD, what is problems, what steps we took, and how we shall further improve this. So NABARD get actually feedback from these institutions. So do you think it is important for NABARD to know what problems are being faced by banks in giving loan to credit, what kind of needs are there, what problems, what issues are there? So NABARD will get feedback from them, from mainly lead banks, and then NABARD will design policies how to overcome those feedback to those problems. So this is lead bank scheme. It is quite successful and still going on. In every district there is one bank which is lead bank. So I think it is clear. So since this scheme was much successful, so government wanted to make it further focused. So government actually started, as a part of this, started service area approach. service area approach. So mention that service area approach. It was initiated in 1988 as a part of lead bank scheme. As a part of lead bank scheme. So it was initiated in 1988 as a part of lead bank scheme. And just mention कि a group of 10 to 15 villages, a group of 10 to 15 villages was allocated to a particular bank branch. A group of 10 to 15 villages were allocated to a particular bank branch. Okay, to promote financial inclusion, obviously. Okay, so in very simple words, it was a part of lead bank scheme. So you know that this district was divided into a group of villages. Okay, so and each area is put under a particular. Okay, so this district was divided into a group of 10-15 villages in general, and in each area a particular bank was to do the same activities which SBI is doing in this, which the lead bank is doing in the entire district. This bank, a particular bank branch, it may be ICICI bank branch. So ICICI bank branch, let us suppose here it may be PNB, here may be SBI. So ICICI will be doing the same thing which SBI is doing in the entire district. So actually SBI will coordinate with these branches. Okay, and SBI will coordinate with these branches and then will report to NABARD. Okay, what are issues, what we did. So service area approach. So this is service area of this ICICI bank. This is service area of PNB. This is service area of SBI. So district is divided into service areas and service area of about 10-15 villages. And the bank will be responsible for this. So even this was asked in prelims. So both have been asked in prelims, this scheme as well as this scheme, because they are still going on and quite successful. Objective is that it will give a responsibility to a particular bank. You have to take care of poor people in this area. You have to ensure that all poor people should get access to banking facilities and other financial services in this particular area. So I think it is clear. So service area approach, it is also successful. So it is a part of lead bank scheme only, service area approach. So district divided into various service areas. Okay, so in pre-reform era, major initiatives we have discussed, and other initiatives, just I will give you name. So other initiatives were RRBs established, we have discussed already, regional rural banks in 1975. Okay, other initiative, even NABARD we can say. NABARD established in 1982. Even SIDBI established. These are all steps towards financial inclusion. So in pre-reform era. So in pre-reform era. So got the point here. So these are some important measures in pre-reform era. Now in next lecture we will discuss in post-reform era. I will divide in 4 major sections. First is for bank account. So just go through the schemes. I'll give you a brief outline of that. What schemes are there for opening bank account, like zero balance account, earlier called no frills account, now name changed to BSBD account, basic saving bank deposit account. In Jan Dhan Yojana that account is opened. Okay, but that account is available since 2005. Then business correspondent scheme, how a BC can provide banking service in a village. Business correspondent with a small device can act as a bank or bank agent. Okay, and then differentiated banks, etc. Okay, some account schemes. Second is I will discuss schemes for insurance. So various schemes for insurance. Okay, including Ayushman Bharat and some other schemes. Then I will discuss some pension scheme, especially NPS, National Pension System. And then I will discuss credit scheme, micro credit schemes. So those are very simple. So you may just go through that. I have shared in notes. Okay, and Jan Dhan Yojana also. What is Jan Dhan Yojana and some committees recommendations like Nachiket More committee, on whose recommendation payment banks and small finance banks were established. Other is this Deepak Mohanty committee, and other is Tarun Ramdur Rai committee. So these are slightly old now, maybe 5-6 years back. 4-5 years back, but government accepted most of the recommendations. So these are the measures taken by government. The measures are very simple. Go through the notes, and in next lecture I will briefly discuss this. Then I will take up after this cashless economy. So because measures for promoting financial inclusion and cashless economy, some measures are common. So what is difference between the two? What are main differences, objectives? Then demonetization and black money, all these are interrelated, interdependent. So what are the relations, interdependence and policy? So we will discuss in next lecture. And before going forward, now next, so certainly I will be dictating selectively. So please go through this. So I will be dictating selectively in this chapter because our speed is too slow. And okay, so now next is because these things require some understanding. So that is why I could not be very fast. So even some students ask me to repeat again and again. So please, you have to be fast now somewhat and go through the notes which I will share. Okay, now Prachi, your last doubt in this class, how biasness have reduced. Earlier 75% will say, now it is actually 66. The biasness towards creators will reduce because earlier until 75% creators will say yes to the resolution plan, to the revival plan. Revival plan could not be actually implemented, but now even 66% will say yes, then company will be revived, will not be sold. So the biasness will reduce actually towards creditors because now not 75, only 66% should say yes for revival under IBC. So that is why somewhat biasness will slightly reduce. So earlier it was more biased towards creditors relatively, and still it is biased, slightly biased, but it is need of the hour as I told you. Okay, so we will continue in next lecture.